I've always been a supporter of small, passionate YouTubers. Even if their content is so lacking that I can't even tell what the entertainment value in their videos are, I still like to support them. I've watched so many videos with under 100 views that YouTube has started to catch on and frequently recommends me low-viewed videos. With these come some very cryptic and creepy unexplained videos on account of how few people know about them. There's just something extra creepy and special when they are so obscure. Like when some cryptic video series blows up and some dude makes a video explaining the lore in depth with all the mysteries solved, it kinda loses its value. Like Boysvert is cool and all, but when the videos have millions of views and a MatPat theory, it kinda loses its allure. And sometimes they get it wrong and people believe a misinterpretation for the rest of time and never dig any deeper. So we're not going to be trying to solve the deeper mysteries here, we're just going to have a look at them, see what makes them interesting, and see what makes them scary. You can feel free to try to solve them yourself though if you want. These can range from mildly uncomfortable to pure nightmare fuel. While none of them exactly contain mature content, in the realm of horror that could be subject to change at any moment. I would still proceed at your own risk if you're young. Also, headaches and photosensitivity warnings inbound. Some of the visual effects here get really wacky. All the channels will be linked in the description. First we have Harrowick, an animation channel with under 500 subs. It's on the tame side of the disturbing factor, but it's still very spooky and cryptic. This is my favorite of the channels we'll be covering. I found it by complete chance, and it seems many have the same experience. Harrowick is about this little candle guy who lives in a giant abandoned sentient manor filled with monstrosities beyond human comprehension. He always stays positive despite how little joy there is in the manor. Each video is comprised of a couple second long animation of Harrowick in the manor, often with some nightmare creature looming next to him. I think my favorite part is Harrowick himself. This is what peak character design looks like. He also made an entire 2 hours of original music just for waiting in his Twitch streams. Come on, Mr. Wick, you give us too much for how little you have. Seriously, it kinda makes me mad when I find someone who's clearly miles more talented than me and has not even half my number of subs. Bruh. Another thing I really like is none of the monsters seem particularly hostile towards Wick, they just kind of coexist, and you can see Wick's thoughts in the description of each video. There's also what appears to be a censored secret message at the end of some videos. I don't know how to decode it though. There's one exception to the seemingly non-hostile monsters, which is For No More, who is the only one Harrowick seems genuinely distressed and intimidated by. The video cuts off, leaving what happens after it emerges ambiguous, and apparently it is used as a boss fight on Twitch streams with Steam avatars, which is not something that I knew existed. But apparently it does. That's pretty neat. Speaking of, Harrowick also has a VTuber Twitch and a Discord server, and I know what you're probably thinking. I thought you hated VTubers with a burning passion. There's nothing wrong with VTube as a concept. It's just so many tropes shared commonly between them suck. Harrow shares even less of these tropes than Tummy Chang. In fact, he even puts an audience warning on some of his streams and clips, even for some of the most minimal things. And while I think having a Discord server 18+ when there's an entire rule against explicit content and seemingly nothing gory is a little unnecessary, as someone who tries their best to make family-friendly content, I really respect the decision. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong and Harrowick's lore is darker than I could ever imagine. Also, while I said I wasn't going to explain any of the lore of these channels, I do have a theory slash prediction. In my brief look at the Discord, I found some secret lore that says there's a giant flame underneath the manor. My theory is that this flame is the core of the manor, and all the monsters that are drawn towards the manor are really just there to be burned or to bring sacrifices to fuel the manor. Eventually, I think Harrowick will have to put out the fire to end the curse, but doing so will also extinguish the lives of all the candle people. A new video called Dust and Matches seems to confirm my theory partially. 2 other candle beings find Harrowick unconscious, with his flame out. He seems to be sleeping, but we can't say for sure. The 2 candles say that candle people don't usually last that long in the manor, which tells me that they are directly linked to the manor and that he didn't just wander in. And the flame being put out on the head is now associated with being out cold, and by extension, death. So, my theory is holding up pretty good. Considering it calls itself a light-hearted horror, though, I'm not certain he would just kill off all the innocent characters for the ending. But based on what I've seen, this is the most likely conclusion, assuming there even will be a conclusion to the story, but that does seem more likely given the new episode. Seems to be an escalation of sorts. Regardless, one thing we know for sure, any food is fuel for the flame. We're gonna do a lightning round. Remjet. They have under 800 subs, make scribble-style animations and other strange videos that seem to be about something more personal involving marriage. WOWATDB. They have 8 subs and post random creepy videos with static images talking about some creepy thing that they supposedly saw with a text-to-speech program. And then there's a random video of a dude screaming, and also an age-restricted video that I'm just going to ignore. I don't know the name of this one, I'll just have to link it. They have 59 subscribers and post some short, cryptic scribble animations in what appears to be some kind of Minecraft ARG question mark? Anyway, this is Marvin. That's all there is to it. Kylivadrat is a channel with around 2,000 subscribers who makes VSH tape style videos that usually consist of random, usually nature footage, and original music. Some videos have unsolved hidden codes at the end, and the descriptions sometimes have more insight on the deeper meanings. There are select few videos that stand out among the rest, though. First is Unsolvable, almost taunting you to try to figure out its deeper meaning. It consists of pictures of random objects cut out and formed together in ways that almost resemble animals, but not quite. Sometimes hands pop through the objects, and this distorted figure briefly appears a few times. A cryptic song plays in the background with very hard to make out lyrics, and from all my searching there is no official transcript for the lyrics, so I'm gonna have to put my trust in this comment for what the lyrics actually are. Even still, I don't know what to make of it, but I'd like to hear what you guys think it means in the comments. Next is Time, a much more straightforward video about how you should make the most of your time. Next one you've probably seen if you've ever seen a video from them, called I'm Tired, which has this nightmare fusion between a face and a machine struggling to stay together. This creepy image briefly flashes on screen, but honestly, I can't tell if this is intentionally highlighted or not. There's a slightly longer version of Unsolvable called VSH Test 1. Then there's Pairs, which I don't know what to say about it, but apparently it's special enough to go into the cool playlist. Speaking of playlists, there's a quite peculiar playlist called Test, which has videos with visuals that aren't used in any of his other videos. I suppose it's possible that these tests didn't come out right, so he didn't use them, but I feel like these are done deliberately. Many of them have secret messages, and this abomination flashes into frame in one of them. Overall, I can't tell if this channel is deliberately scary, or if it's just a very abstract form of expression. ColinQualm has around 1,000 subscribers and makes music-centric animations. First is a pretty straightforward song about how TV is brainless. And then the rest of the videos are about death in some way or another. They are more convoluted and deeper than that, but the words related to death show up in all of them. And while I get sick with how many comments on these videos just say, "Wow, this is like Jack Stauber," he seems to not mind, and even hearts and replies to most of the comments saying this, so he's very clearly self-aware about the Jack Stauber inspiration. Also, analog horror is one of the tags, so these videos are supposed to be scary. Drive 45 has around 13,000 subs and makes, well, I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll start with the first video I found. Cable Clobber Cable. This video starts with some dude just telling you if you do anything wrong, you'll make sure you're punished as harshly and painfully as possible. Then it zooms out to what I can only describe as the perfect middle ground between a skull and a normal human head. The characters just keep interrupting themselves and talking over each other, and it feels like there's no break between any of the words. They just keep talking and almost never get anywhere. The video just ends completely abruptly without any kind of resolution at all. And of all the videos I've seen, this is the same for all of them. On top of this, out of all the cryptic things we've covered so far, some with literally zero dialogue whatsoever, This is the most confusing to understand out of all of them. I've watched like 4 videos from him, and out of the thousands of things the characters said, I could only make out like 2 of the messages they were trying to tell. He also makes music videos, that just seems to be a given at this point. And there's a greater focus on comedy than the other channels we've covered. It is an acid trip, and I would much prefer you just go watch them yourself instead of listening to someone else tell you what happens. But with how off the walls this channel is, I would still be careful. There really could be anything in these videos. So, that's all the obscure spooky stuff I've found recently that I was able to remember. I can still recall other creepy stuff I found that have titles that are completely impossible to fish out of your watch history that will be lost to the ages. You could probably binge watch all of these channels' videos since they have only a few videos and they're usually pretty short, so go do that if you want. And if you want a migraine. Watching these videos will put even more obscure, mildly unnerving channels into your recommended, so go and sniff out some tiny, talented content creators and give them your support. And of course, the channels shown in this video will be linked in the description, so go and show them some love. At very least, subscribe to Harrowick because he's epic.